The job of the railway salesman consists in selling transport. Transport is an article which is needed by everybody, for themselves and for the goods which they manufacture or handle or consume. The advantages of railway transport over other forms must be put before potential customers. People in all walks of life must be persuaded to use it more. They must be shown in what ways it can help them in their own businesses and lives. To do this, good salesmen are necessary, men who can make a personal sales effort and make it effectively. Your personal sales effort cannot be effective unless you know the business which you're selling. So study everything that will teach you more about the railway. Information can be obtained from many sources. Advertising literature will acquaint you with the facilities the company has to offer. Newspapers often contain items about our own and rival transport undertakings, which are of interest to all salesmen. Sales conferences provide opportunities for the exchange of views and the stimulation of ideas on selling transport. Remember that learning never comes to an end. Your railway knowledge should be kept fresh and alive. It should be constantly revised, expanded, and brought up to date. Equipped in this way with comprehensive knowledge of what the railway has to offer to its customers, you are ready to get on the road in search of business. The man who finds business finds it by keeping his eyes and his ears open. There is, of course, a large amount of business which is brought to the notice of the sales staff by routine methods. But besides this, the salesman should discover business by his own efforts. The good salesman can sense new traffic as a water diviner senses a hidden stream. There's nothing magical about this faculty for sensing traffic. It's simply a matter of keen observation. By noticing things which at first sight do not seem to have any connection with traffic or the railway, and by drawing the correct deductions from them, the good salesman is frequently led to new and paying sources of traffic. Excursions are a good example of the opportunities which exist for creating traffic. Everywhere you go, there are many people, in schools, in offices, in works, in factories. All of them are fit subjects for the salesman's art. The routine of the job, the regular calls at offices, at works, at pit heads, are the solid foundation on which the structure of salesmanship is built. But you may be sure that by acquiring and fostering in yourself the traffic mind, you will be enlarging your scope as a worker in this great organization. These, then, are the mental qualities of the good salesman. His mind is stored with wisely acquired knowledge of the transport he has to sell, and he is always on the alert, always thinking of traffic and how traffic is to be found and encouraged for the railway. These things should be true not only of the sales staff proper, but of every member of the LMS staff. Each one of us has it in his power to be a salesman. The welfare of the LMS is a matter which vitally affects us all. One thing you can be sure of, that you have behind you all the resources of a big and efficient organization. The railway possesses the best transport for goods and passengers. It is up to you to sell it to the public. Allow me to introduce you. This is Mr. Stephen Smart. He's on the sales staff of the LMS Railway. He's regarded as one of the best salesmen in the district, and no wonder. Ever since he went into business, he's aimed at being a smart, likable, and efficient worker. Look how tidily he keeps his room in his digs. It's only a small thing, but it counts. Observe how promptly he got out of bed in the morning. Yes, the daily dozen is an essential part of his morning routine. He feels better for it. It really takes up little time. And this huddled figure is his colleague, Mr. Sam Slack, a very different character. Look at his room. He doesn't seem to be a very effective sort of person. Stephen is careful about his appearance. He's well-shaved, well-turned out, a credit to his position. Today he has an important interview. Already he's thinking of his opening words.
Good morning, Mr. Jokes. Lovely weather, isn't it? That's no good. Good morning, Mr. Jokes. Lovely weather, isn't it? That's better.
A little practice before the mirror gives him confidence. Meanwhile, how's Sam getting on? Time has passed rapidly and unprofitably for Sam. He doesn't seem to have stirred since 7:30, and now look what time it is. Yes, old boy, it's got to be done. It's a cruel world, isn't it? After this fine beginning to the day, Stephen leaves for the office in excellent trim. By starting the day right, he has given himself a good send-off, and he'll feel its benefits throughout the day. Sam doesn't even get down to breakfast till Stephen is well on his way to work, so he's only in time to snatch a hurried bite before leaving, flustered and bad-tempered already. This is certainly not a good beginning to the day, and moreover, it's typical of all Sam's days.
Hello, yes, LMS Railway? Yes? Yes, just a moment, please. Call for you, Slack. Oh, thanks. Hello? Yes? Yes? Speaking? Oh, I say, Mr. Arnold, I'm terribly sorry. Well, it's a little difficult. As a matter of fact, do you mind if I make it, if I alter it to, well, really, I can't fit you in today at all. As a matter of fact, not bother at all, Mr. Arnold. You'll send it by road. Oh, very good. I'm terribly sorry. Oh, well, there's another good job gone west. Well, I must be going. Got to go and see Jokes about their big new contract.
Stephen's appointment with Mr. Jelks was for 9:45. Sam also has an appointment with a Mr. Williams at the same time, but he doesn't seem to have allowed himself any time at all to get there. He's late before he started. Let me now introduce Mr. Williams, waiting not very patiently, I'm afraid, for Sam to arrive. It does not put a man in a good temper to have to wait, and surely if anybody wants Mr. Williams to be in a good temper, it's Sam.
Morning.
Here he is, Mr. Sam Slack himself, in all his glory.
Sorry I'm late. Didn't even have time to shave.
What a beginning for an interview. Sam is all mistakes. Watch for them. They're glaring enough, aren't they? Umbrella on the desk, hat still on his head, and he's sat down without a word of invitation from Mr. Williams. Sam is obviously bothered by the sun. If he'd been quick on the uptake, he could easily have altered his position of the chair to avoid it.
Now, about this traffic, what can you do for us?
Whatever else he lacks, Sam does not want for enthusiasm. Unfortunately, he often allows enthusiasm to outrun discretion. His blustering methods do not please Mr. Williams, nor would they please any customer.
We can do you well, Mr. Williams. These road people are no good. You use the road people, don't you? Thought so. Now, let me show you something. Got something here. I'll prove it to you. In print. There you are. Look at that.
Sam, old man, this is all wrong. We're all getting very worried about the way you're conducting this interview. We could do it so much better ourselves.
The traffic I want to consign is from London to Belfast.
Sam needn't make a verbatim note of Mr. Williams' words. The train salesman should only write down the salient figures and facts.
Packing cases 18 by 24 and weighing 100 weight each.
He's in a bad way, is our Mr. Slack. Mr. Williams has had more than enough of him. Look at Sam. Nervousness is betrayed by those restless hands, by that trick of brushing back the hair. Williams is a great contrast. His hands are firm and masterful, and they lie quietly on the desk. Even his boredom and his dislike of Sam are not too evident. All his emotions are well under control. Sam, that pipe. This is the height of bad manners. It is not intentional. Sam is simply absent-minded. He doesn't think of others sufficiently.
Now, what will your rate be?
By his muddling methods, Sam has scattered his papers all over the desk, so that he has to stretch across to retrieve the particular document he wants. When he gets it, he has to search feverishly through its pages for the paragraph he has to consult. That's it at last. Although he doesn't know it, Sam's fate is decided. He has so mishandled this interview that Mr. Williams has lost confidence in him and in the LMS railway. Mr. Williams wanted straight facts and no nonsense, which is just what Sam could not give him. Watch the end of this pitiful effort.
Gee, I didn't know it was that time. Sorry, must rush off. Can't keep everybody waiting. I'll let you know about that traffic. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Williams? All right, put him through.
Stephen Smart is an entirely different type. He would never be late for an appointment. He makes punctuality a principle. Watch him conduct this interview.
Mr. Smart, sir.
No peeping round the door entrance for Stephen Smart. Hat, gloves, umbrella are placed where they should be, not on the desk.
Good morning, Mr. Jokes. Lovely weather, isn't it?
Good morning. Sit down, Mr. Smart.
He does not sit until invited, and he avoids the sun.
Now, Mr. Smart, my requirements for this job are very exacting.
Mr. Jelks is inclined to bully. Stephen, courteous and attentive, listens carefully to those exacting requirements. He's a good listener, as every successful salesman must be. When he speaks easily and pleasantly.
I'm sure, Mr. Jokes, we can give you entirely satisfactory service. What I would suggest is...
Clearly, concisely, Stephen makes his proposals. Intimate knowledge of his subject gives him assurance. Here's a chance. Mr. Jelks fumbles for his cigarette case.
Won't you please smoke one of mine?
Thank you.
First point to Stephen. The soothing influence of a cigarette has won many a sales battle. Now to drive home the advantage.
If you prefer, we could, of course...
Stephen strikes harder. Should he now display the slightest weakness or hesitation, or should there be the slightest flaw in his argument, it will mean failure. But Stephen does not make mistakes.
Well, that sounds all right, but I want more detail.
And Stephen is ready with those details. The fact that Mr. Jelks has asked for them shows that he's interested, and his abrupt manner does not worry Stephen. While Jelks studies the leaflet handed to him, Stephen takes the opportunity to write a few brief notes on the salient points of the case. Mr. Jelks, though wavering, is not done yet.
It's all very well to talk, but can you guarantee that the LMS will do what you promise?
The critical moment of the interview. Now Stephen must dominate or he'll lose the business. He does not promise that which he knows the company cannot perform. He marshals his facts and presents them with telling effect. Notice his restrained gestures, his quiet yet forceful attitude. No single point that can be used to persuade his potential customer must be omitted. Mr. Jelks is beginning to get fidgety. He fingers his pencil, twists it this way and that. He seizes a match stand, takes a match, breaks it, and another. Stephen, watching, misses nothing. He recognizes in Jelks' actions evidence that his arguments are getting home. His job is almost completed, and he is not surprised when Jelks breaks in.
All right. Start collecting tomorrow, 10 sharp.
Thank you very much, sir. You can depend on us. We'll be there. Goodbye, sir, and thank you.
Stephen does not care now how abrupt Mr. Jelks may be. Good salesmanship has won for him his triumph, just as bad salesmanship lost Sam Slack his. Which category are you in? Are you a Sam Slack or a Stephen Smart? When the results of your salesmanship are assessed, how do you come out? Are you amongst the winners, or are you in the ruck of the also-ran?